you doing, everybody? Here's another edition of Who's On First with Robert Rivera, and we have a special guest, Mr. Donovan. He is with the Jamaican baseball. Introduce yourself there, Donovan.
All right. My name is Donovan Duncan, president of Baseball Jamaica. Been in existence for almost 20 years now. The objective of Baseball Jamaica is to allow inner city youths, not only in Jamaica, but in other Caribbean nations who don't have any access to baseball or any hands-on experience with baseball, to give them an opportunity to participate in the sport and make some kind of progress or headway in their situation.
So where did this all come from?
When I was in the Marine Corps, I used to go down to Jamaica often, every year. And I used to take along my baseball glove and a few balls and a few equipment and play with the local kids in the community. Baseball has never been in Jamaica entrenched, but there's softball at a very minimal level. It wasn't very popular either, but baseball was definitely not something that was popular. And to some extent, it's still growing. Because it was similar to cricket, they took onto it quite rapidly and they loved it. So I continued that, and year in and year out, I would bring more equipment as I went down on vacation, and soon we had so much equipment that the more equipment we attained, the more kids wanted to participate. So it became a really big thing. And then I met a gentleman called Pablo McNeil. He used to be the coach for Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt was in high school and he used to play soccer. But Pablo McNeil was his coach. And I met with Pablo McNeil, and he encouraged me to really get into it and give the kids a better opportunity to learn the sport and play the sport. So I've been doing that for quite a while.
It's funny you mentioned Usain Bolt. There was a story on him. They were talking about he wanted to retire from track and go play for Manchester United. He wants a shot at it. And I was just like, wow, never thought, here he is. But yeah, he would like to try that. So I was like, maybe one day he'll get the call for Manchester United.
Yeah, well, he started out in not in track and field, but in soccer, and that's where he was discovered. The coaches there saw that and said, let's give this guy a chance at track and field, and they made the right call.
You started this with just, hey, we got a couple of kids, and then it's just growing and growing. So how many kids do you have now?
Due to COVID, the last couple of years, things have been dormant. At one point, I had like 500 kids in camp.
Okay.
And the government of Jamaica, the sports authority down there, they got involved as well. They gave me a lot of support, and they even have the game now being played in the schools, in the primary school. So yeah, it caught on pretty quickly. And with Jamaica being so close to Cuba and Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic and the United States, it wasn't, everyone's got cable. They see the games. So it has a chance of really taking off there. It's just that they don't have the experienced coaches and the staffing and the equipment and the baseball fields and all that. So there's some logistical problems, but once that's sorted out, I think baseball will just take off in Jamaica. It's got that potential.
Okay. So you think maybe one day you'll see Jamaica in the WBC?
I wouldn't doubt it. It'll take a little while now because, like I said, their program, I would say it's on the first floor.
Okay.
It still hasn't taken off, but it's not in the basement. So that's a good thing. It's in the first floor. And the reason why it's still there is because of some infighting on the island.
Sometimes political struggles, right?
Right.
Okay.
So I stood to the side of that and observed everything that was going on. I didn't want to get involved in all that. So I kept myself as a private entity. A fellow by the name of Leon Taylor, who was also a scout for Pittsburgh Pirates. There's a baseball association as well, Jamaica Baseball Association, which falls under the umbrella of the Latin American Association. We fall under that umbrella. That fellow's name is Ewell Gordon. And then there's private people who come and start their own little thing, So there's a lot of competition amongst people who want to see the sport grow. It can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. So Baseball Jamaica we work with everyone. Track and field is a big thing in Jamaica, as you probably know.
Right.
A lot of stars you see on the track field, you figure, hey, baseball is half the sport is running. So, there's your pool to start from,
Yeah. I applaud you for that, trying to get these kids out of that, get out of that situation and get them into a better environment, a better way of education. Maybe they can get an education, even if they don't make it to the major leagues, they can get a scholarship somewhere and then move on and do something better.
Yeah. And softball, I mentioned Ewell Gordon. He's in charge of the Baseball Jamaica Association, but they concentrate mostly on softball. A lot of girls gravitate towards that, and the boys, they kind of have nothing to do. So,
all right. Well, let me ask you a question, Donovan. Where does your love of baseball came from? Who introduced you to the game?
I played cricket when I was a kid in Jamaica, and I came to these States when I was 12 years old. And the first thing that I saw that appealed to me as far as sports, I love track and field. That was always my first love. And then cricket was my second love. But baseball, really, I sat there and watched. The first game I saw was a game between the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies back in 1973. I'm dating myself. But I grew up with the Felix Mians and the Ed Kranepool and those guys. And right. I started loving the game. And the Mets at that time were a group that was just, they weren't really all that great compared to the other New York team. But I just fell in love with that team because they were just hard-nosed and they had character, and they taught me the game. I sat there and I learned the game just by watching them, and I just fell in love with baseball from that point on.
I see your hat behind you there. I take it the Mets are your favorite team, huh?
I'm a diehard. I was born the same year they were born.
Who's your favorite player? If you could meet one guy from the Mets, who'd you want to meet?
Well, this is going to surprise you. But when I was going to school in New York, I went to school that was known for sports, DeWitt Clinton High School. There were some ball players there as well. But there was a crosstown kid named Bobby Bonilla that played for Lehman High School. Mm-hmm. And there was another kid a few years later named Lee Mazzilli that played. And those guys I saw in person, but never really got to meet them, and shake hands and say, hi, how you doing? And, buddy up kind of thing. So if there was one person I wanted to meet, I think between Bonilla and Mazzilli, I think Lee Mazzilli is my favorite player. He's unique, that basket catch and all that, and I just like his game at the time.
Right. I have a funny story with Lee Mazzilli. I went into a slump. I think I was like 0 for 7, 0 for 8. And my dad says, you got a hitch. You're going to start hitting like Lee Mazzilli. Remember, he used to point the bat towards the catcher. He said, I don't want you to pick your hands up. I want you to point the bat to the catcher. I said, Dad, I don't feel. He says, no, you're going to get out of this slump. Your hands are moving. Your head's not down. I want you to slap the ball. Well, sure enough, I get up at bat and I start pointing and I look and I foul one off. And I say, wait a minute, I think my dad might have something on. And sure enough, the next pitch, I slap it into the left center field and I get on base and I'm like, you know what? I said, I think this is going to be it for me. And I think I batted like that for about 5 or 6 more at bats. And then my dad said, okay, now point the bat up. You're good now. And I said, oh, okay. And I got rid of my hitch by pointing the bat like Lee Mazzilli.
That's great. You're talking about a slump. There's a guy named Brett Butler. I don't know if you remember him, that played for the Dodgers. When my kids got in a slump, I'd show them Brett Butler videos, show them how to bunt. And once they learned how to bunt, and I had them stand up and hit. And a lot of times that would work. So,
how many fields do you guys have in Jamaica? Is there a lot of baseball fields down there?
No, there isn't. There's a fella that I work with at the post office. His name is Damon Van Brocklin. He's got his own little business called Van Brocklin Homes, and he's a builder. And he builds baseball fields. And I got with him and I said, hey, there are no baseball fields in Jamaica. Not anything that really counts, Would you consider going down there and helping me to build a baseball field? It was just an off the cuff idea. I didn't think it would work. I just mentioned it to him and he said, sure. And as time went on, I kept teasing him about it. He kept teasing me about it. I said, yeah, man, we're going to build that field in Jamaica. And I go, yeah, man, it's going to be a nice one. And sure enough, in 2012, that came to fruition. He went down on invitation from the Jamaican government, the Ministry of Sports, a fellow named Donovan, who was at the time, the in charge of the baseball operations there. He invited us down. The Minister of Sports at the time and Culture, Bobsy Grange. I like to give these people, call their names, so the names are out there.
Right.
She was very instrumental in bringing baseball to Jamaica, building that field. So they invited us down. At the time, I couldn't go, but Damon went down by himself. 2 weeks, they had a field going. And there's a baseball field now at G.C. Foster College of Sports in Kingston, Jamaica. First baseball field that was built. I felt really good about that. And as far as progress in bringing the sport and moving the sport and something as evidential, that meant a lot to me, But like I said, COVID has slowed things down tremendously. The field is still there. It needs a lot of work. They're more interested in track and field and soccer. So, but that's something that's doable. The schools now have it as part of their curriculum. And that was something that I really wanted to push, the schools being able to have leagues and play games. So that is a reality. And I feel really good about that as well.
Okay. You have any major leaguers or any guys that played semi-pro say, hey, I want to go out there and help you?
I got a friend of mine, his name is Benny Castilla. He runs an academy in Tampa. It was like about 4 or 5 of us that came down, went down to Jamaica, and we toured the entire island, gave clinics, and it was great. We just toured the entire island just doing baseball, getting all those guys together. One guy from the DR, one guy from Puerto Rico, USA. Yeah, Benny Castillo is a good ball player too. He played for the Giants organization, semi-pro ball.
Okay. He
grew up in the Bronx as well. We never crossed paths, but he was playing ball when I was playing ball back in the day. Going to Crotona Park and down in Fordham and all over the place playing in leagues. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention this guy's name. He's a major league umpire. His name is C.B. Buckner. He's from Jamaica. And he goes down like every year and he brings down a lot of equipment. He gives his own time to umpire games. But he doesn't want any publicity. Yeah, he doesn't need it. But
yeah, CB Buckner, I know he gets a lot of publicity already at the major leagues. Sometimes they love him, sometimes they hate him, but it's the life of an umpire. Where do you guys see this going in, let's say, 10 years? Where would you like this to be? And
well, I'll tell you what, if I have the help of the people that I just mentioned, I'll give it less than 4 or 5 years, and we could have a really good team.
Donovan, I also work in the post office, so that's where we made our connection. And I'm always big on the kids. As a matter of fact, one of my clerks, his son today came into my office and was like, "Oh," and he's a 4-year-old kid, and he says, "Can I take this home?" And he took home my mail truck, my little mail truck that I had. I say, "Yeah, go ahead, you can have it." So I mean, this is something that you're giving back to the kids. The kids could really use this. This would be something that they can, take and run with. And this will help them to get out of poverty, to get out of any situations, and probably help them do something big in their life. Even if it's not just baseball. I mean, if they can just get a scholarship and go to a college and get a decent college and become a teacher, an engineer, architect, anything that they want to do. I mean, the baseball would be something that could propel them to get out of a situation that maybe, it's not the best.
Right. What's good about this program is that we have so many people like yourself who are very enthusiastic about advertising the sport. Well, not necessarily advertising it, but putting it out there for people to know that, hey, this exists. This is something that is there, and any little thing helps. Scouts from the Marlins, the Mets, the Toronto Blue Jays, they come down and they do their little clinics and so on. So there's a lot of participation from Major League Baseball and minor league. There's some minor league players that come down and do their thing every now and then as well.
Hey, man, you never know. Maybe you never know where you're going to find the talent. It could be around the corner. It could be in your backyard. It could be in Jamaica. It can be in the Bahamas. We had the team from the Bahamas here in Ocala. There was a lot of talent on that team, heavy competition, and they had a great time. And you know what? Not even so much the competition, but the game brings people together, and you get to see somewhere different. You get to see a different culture. You get to see a whole different side of people.
Yes. I wish there's more I could do, but the only thing that I can do that would be really effective is if I actually lived there in Jamaica, to have the hands-on, you need proficient coaches that can be at the practices and really hone these kids, the skills that they have.
I mean, you got to start somewhere. I mean, everybody laughed at the Jamaican bobsled team too. And you know what I mean? You have the fields covered. I see that. You say you have that covered, and you got Buckner, the umpires are covered. You get the players. I mean, if you jam them all together, you might have a nice little association going on. Maybe you could get a WBC team going, and that would be something wild.
That would be great. That would be great. There was this fella this ball player that played for the Boston Red Sox. His name is Justin Masterson. Justin was born in Jamaica, but he's a U.S. citizen because I think at the time his parents were on the Peace Corps. I'm thinking, hey, if Jamaica had a team, we have that guy pitching for us, it'd be all right, you know. It's a fantasy, but hey, you know.
You never know. Listen, man, I think one man can make a difference, and I think you're making that difference. When a kid comes to you, 12 years old, what do you guys do with them? How do you teach them?
Well, I do what they are used to and what they're good at. They do a lot of running. They do a lot of long tosses, teach them how to catch the ball. We leave the organized drills for a little bit later on. We want to introduce them to the game, get rid of what they think the game is and focus on what it really is. You know, they see this on TV. They want to bat like a certain ball player. You know, we teach them just the basic skills to get them to that level where they can actually hold the bat the proper way and keep their eye on the ball and make contact and all that. You know, it's something that takes more than just myself. It takes a whole crew of people that have the motivation and the knowledge. The motivation is there, but we seem to be losing a little bit on the knowledge part of the game.
I bump into that all the time. I bump into a lot of people who say, "Oh, the Yankees do it like this," and the Marlins do it like that, and this is how you're supposed to do it. And you're sitting there going, "Okay." I tell them, "Okay, you know more than me." Okay, and sometimes you have to let it be, But it's baseball is something that you can take some natural ability and harness it, like the speed. You said the running. I mean, tracking down a fly ball in the outfield, that is not an easy feat. That by no means of the word. You have to be an athlete, and you have to be able to track that baseball down, have hand-eye coordination, and be able to get underneath it.
Exactly. I teach them to have fun. Like they're kids, so I concentrate on them having fun, and then later on, when I do spy a few talented ones, I pull them aside. I try to get them in with someone that can help them further on down the road, because I'll
probably be crossing paths with you in the spring training circuit. I'll be jumping around also.
COVID has got everybody kind of an inconvenience, but I plan on doing it this year.
For the most part, I'll probably be crisscrossing you somewhere.
That's for sure.
All right. If somebody wants to get in contact with you, they want to donate to you, how would they do that?
Well, as far as equipment and all that, we're kind of holding off on equipment now because I have a garage, a 3-car garage full of equipment because I just can't take any more. So any donation would have to probably come in the form of monetary donations. I can't do any equipment right now because shipping it down is very cost effective for me as well. But if they insist on sending equipment, I would take balls and gloves.
You want me to put their email up on the site when we do this?
Sure, my email, JamaicanJig@hotmail.com, or they can contact me directly by phone, my cell phone, 904-862-5343.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, listen, Donovan, I appreciate your time. And I see you love the baseball behind me there. Maybe one day we'll get to play with that ball one day.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes. As I tell everybody, keep swinging, because every swing will get you closer to that next home run. Thank you.
All right, Potter. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ooh.
If you like the show, please do me a favor. Subscribe. Right? You see it? It's right there. Subscribe, share, like, and don't forget, put that bell on. It'll ding you when I put something else on, all right?
Everybody, guys, thanks. Always keep swinging, because every swing will get you closer to that next home run. I'm going to do that over again.